Let me just drop this vital information in the beginning of this video before we even start talking. Healing leads to maturity, and maturity leads to growth. And guys, growth is such a beautiful thing. Why am I saying this? I have been in this game of healing for quite some time now. And one of the many lessons that I have learned, and that is very important, that is very vital, and that is helping me and has helped me in so many instances and circumstances, is that just because they have the capacity to help me does not guarantee that I'm going to get help when I need it. Just because someone has the capacity to offer you help does not guarantee that you're going to get it when you need it. And it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have with them. It could be your parents, could be your siblings, could be your closest people. Learning to not be entitled to what they can offer, learning to not be entitled to their capacity to offer help to you, and detaching your feelings, expectations, and anticipations from the kind of relationship you have with them is going to save you a lot of chaos. It's going to save you a lot of unnecessary emotional breakdowns. It's going to help you navigate so many relationships and at so many different situations. Imagine dropping people just because they didn't offer you help that you felt you were entitled to simply because you are connected to them. And dropping those people because at that moment you are under the influence of your emotions, and yet they are the vital part of you that you need in the long run. And understanding all these concepts, understanding that you are entitled to nobody's nothing, and detaching fully from what people can do to you, your expectations from people's capacities and capabilities, is going to help you navigate beautifully, and I mean beautifully, any and all relationships that you have with people. Connecting with people and not expecting anything in return and showing up as who you are authentically is such a beautiful thing. And it's the only thing, it's the only remedy that is going to save you from so many chaotic instances with your relationships. Some honey inside my eye. I want you to tell me, why would anyone not help someone who is in need and yet they are connected to them? Why would your mom, your dad, your uncle, your auntie not help you as a budding adult and yet they have the capacity to help you? I cannot understand, I will never understand, and I'm not planning to understand at all. The only thing I can think of after my long experience, analysis, conclusion, and realization is either of the two. One, they are so threatened by your potential that they cannot help you. They can see the potential that is in you, and so they are scared if they water that potential, how powerful, how magnificent, how great is gonna get. And that is a threat. Your potential is literally a threat to them. And why would someone be threatened by your potential as their own daughter, as their own niece, nephew, as their own son? Again, the only two reasons I can think of: they hate you so much, or they are so evil they cannot stand to see you succeed. Because if I hate you, I don't care. I'm not going to help you. If I am evil, I would never want to see you succeed in any way, no matter how tiny, no matter how minute it is. Don't get me wrong. This is not a video to tell people to be entitled to other people's capacities and capabilities to help them. But this is the only reason I can think of why someone would never want to help their own. Your own blood. I can't think of anything else. I don't think I'll ever think of anything else. Now, before we rush and clean all this juicy beauty mask, I want to tell you this. When people who are connected to you, especially your family, do not help you, do not render you the help that you need, that you direly need, don't feel bad. Don't hate them. I want you to appreciate. I want you to be so grateful. I want you to take a moment and thank heavens, thank God for giving you such a blessing. Because trust you me, that's a blessing in disguise. It is a way of God telling you that you don't need another human being to cross the other side. You don't need anyone apart from yourself and him to make it in life. That you don't need to worry just because you didn't get the help that you needed from your people, because God has your back. He will send people to give you that help. It might take longer than you could have wanted it, but it's still gonna come. It is also a way of God, universe, whatever power you believe in, but it is a way of God showing you how to do life with full and total surrender and reliance on Him. It is basically life teaching you to rely on God, to surrender everything to God. I want you to have conversations with people who say, in my case, it's purely God. And see the passion in their eyes, the passion that is emanating from their soul, because they know it is purely God. Without God, they wouldn't be where they are and they wouldn't have what they have right now. Right, let's go get our face pretty and come get straight into this conversation, because it's about to get real. Maturity is realizing that the world owes you nothing. And until you come to a point of acceptance and realization that no matter the relationship you have with anyone, they owe you nothing. Let's have these conversations that maybe we are too scared to talk about openly. I want to give a short story of how growing up without a dad made me question my entire life. And it's because most of the people that surrounded me, the environment that I was growing in, made me question whether I was fit for this world. And I felt like I was meant for the lowest of points, for the lowest of positions, for the last bit in the plate, from friends to peers to even grown-ups who reminded me that I was less fortunate, that I was less privileged because I didn't have a dad. Fortunately or unfortunately, I found myself lucky to come from a background that had people, men and women of influence, people who had influence, both monetary influence and even by their own image. Just by the mention of my family name, I am able to get myself some privileges that any other person probably cannot have. And it is only recently, as recent as 2-3 years ago, that I just realized I cannot keep on bleeding because I have not gotten the help that I hoped to get from my relatives. And as bitter as it is the fact. Before then, I found myself questioning what was wrong with me. Why is it that I couldn't get help from the people that we were connected by blood? Is it that what the people who kept on telling me I didn't deserve a certain life because I didn't have a dad were true? Or is it that people were just mean, selfish, and they didn't care anymore? Well, until I made the bold step and accepted the fact that that was the bitter truth, the bitter reality. And I found myself holding some sort of resentment and bitterness and dislike to those relatives because they proclaimed they loved me. I was a young person. I needed help. They knew I needed help. To some even, I went ahead to ask for the help and still didn't get it. I found myself slowly disconnecting from my relatives and their kids because it's like they hated me. So one day I just sit down and I decide this has to be the end of the resentment. I have to build a life for myself. And there is one mantra, one question I always ask myself every single time I want to slip into the overthinking and questioning why they cannot help me even though they are capable. And the question is, if they were not in that position, if they did not have that influence, how would I do life? What would my life look like if I didn't have such influential people in my life? If they were people that I didn't know, how would I do life? How would I lead my life so that I could have the life that I want, the life that I dream of? And that question has helped me so many times and has brought me to a point of acceptance no matter the circumstances. And today, that is the question that I want you to ask yourself. Instead of hating another person, instead of you disliking the people that are close to you, how about you ask yourself, if I didn't know them or if I didn't have them, what would I do so that I could get closer to living my dream life every single day? What are the systems that I would put in place so that they could enable me to achieve my dream life? And that coincides with another scenario. Every time you find yourself in a difficulty situation and you feel helpless, you feel like the world is at its edge and you don't have an option, I want you to breathe, relax, calm yourself, and I want you to ask yourself, if I wasn't here, would my life stop? For instance, if it's a job that you don't like, if this company collapses today, what am I going to do with my life? Is my life going to stop? How am I going to take over? How am I going to continue from where it ends? If the company collapses, does it mean you die? Does it mean you go down with the company? Of course not. And that alone tells you that even the times that you feel helpless, you have an option. You have a choice. And you are not helpless at all. And the idea of you feeling helpless, it is triggered by the fact that during that moment, your mind is not clear. Your thought process isn't able to make clear decisions. Your emotions are all over. Your nervous system is disoriented, and so many other things are going on in your system, and you can't think clearly. But when you take a step back and put all the emotions aside and get logic in, you are going to find a solution. You will understand. You're going to be bold. You're going to be strong. You're going to be confident. And that kind of mentality, having the strength to take a step back and look at things in a different dimension without the influence of your emotions, is going to help you navigate so many scenarios in this life. And so the next time you find yourself hating the people in your life, the next time you find yourself disliking and having bad blood between you and your relatives, I want you to ask yourself, why do you feel so entitled to their help? Why is it that they have to help you just because they are connected to you in one way or the other? By having that mentality, you're going to find yourself having a very easy life. Life in this case, I mean how you connect with others. Because whether you come to me with as much influence, I am not clinging to you because I know I am going to benefit in time of need. You are going to change how you relate with everyone in your life. And whether it is your partner, your siblings, your parents, I want you to have the mentality that no one owes you anything. Look at this scenario. How many times have you been aided by a total stranger and yet you had your loved ones around? How many times? And it's not because they hate you, they love you. But there is a trigger that they get every time they feel like they're going to hold your hand and help you cross the bridge. Whether it's a one-day bridge or it's an eternity kind of bridge. Imagine you're telling your mom, imagine you're telling your dad, imagine you're telling your uncle to sponsor you into your dream campus or sponsor your dream. What does that mean to them? It is telling them that your possibility of beating them at their success is very high. And they would rather not help you so that you can stay begging, stay under them, stay under their cage, stay under the same level, than see you emerge and go to the greater heights. And surprisingly enough, you approach another donor, a different person you've never met before. You pitch your idea, you pitch your dream, and just like that, they decide, I am going to bet on you. And they want the best for you. Does it mean your parents, does it mean your uncle and aunties don't want the best for you? Of course not. They genuinely want the best for you. But it is the possibility of you becoming more successful than they are that is a threat to them. And they might be doing it unconsciously. And others are just evil. They don't want you to succeed and beat them at anything. And although you are having a clear heart while you are pitching your idea to your father, to your uncle, that is not the same thought that they have. And until you come to a point of acceptance that nobody owes you anything, you are going to have a bitter heart. You are going to live a life that is full of bitterness, malice, dislike, hate, and resentment. And when you have those kind of things, when you have those kind of emotions in you, you will never enjoy success, and you might block yourself from even achieving that success. So in a world filled with so many bitter people, because of the people that are in their lives that have the influence, and yet they cannot get help from them, I want you to choose to be different. And I want you to choose it not because I said it, not because a random girl on the internet told you to choose it, but because now you know better and you want to do better. When you have the chance, when you are in that position, I want you to help people, not to please them, but because you know what it feels like not to be helped by the people that you call yours, by the circle that you call your own, by the clan that is yours. I want you to have a different kind of heart. I want you to be kind. I want you to be empathetic. I want you to be humane and help others when you can.